For die-hard steam fans, the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad, which operates on 64 miles of 3-foot gauge track between Chama, New Mexico and Antonito, Colorado, is tough to beat. The tracks were laid beginning in 1880 and was part of the once massive Denver and Rio Grande Railroad that stretched from Alamosa, Colorado to Antonito, then over the 10,000-foot Cumbres Pass to Chama, and then on to Farmington and Durango, Colorado. By 1882, the line was open to Silverton. In the 50s, when roads made trucking easier, rail shipments started to decline. Rio Grande wanted to purchase diesels to cut costs, but even narrow-gauge diesels were prohibitively expensive for the money these narrow-gauge lines generated, so the steam power hung on a while longer. By the late 1960s, the Rio Grande called it quits with its narrow-gauge operations. In 1969 and 1970, the states of New Mexico and Colorado took on joint ownership of the Chama to Antonito portion, and by 1971, the Cumbres and Toltec was formed. It's May 27, 2017, and we're in the town of Chama for the first day of the tourist season, which runs from late May to late October. Engine 489 is a Model K36 with a 282 wheel arrangement built by Baldwin in 1925. Number 489 has left the engine house and has been fully watered for its eventual departure for Antonito in a little over an hour. This whole town is almost like stepping back to a simpler time. Clear, sunny skies didn't hurt either. The town of Chama, New Mexico sits at an elevation of just over 7,800 feet and has a population of around 1,000 people. It's also barely 7 miles away from the border with Colorado. Spanish colonizers arrived in northern New Mexico in the 1500s and were responsible for originally establishing the town itself. After the Denver and Rio Grande brought its line into town, it began to boom. With a new railroad here, it attracted mining interests and logging companies, as well as ranchers. Number 489 headed to the coaling spur, where its tender was to be filled with coal. Since this was filmed in May of 2017, number 489 has since been converted to burn oil. After getting a full tender, number 489 headed toward the Chama yard. Helper engine 487 is identical to number 489. Since today is the first day of the tourist season, the train was to be a few cars longer than normal. So a double header was needed to get the train up to Cumbres Summit. Number 489 ducked into the Chama yard. Meanwhile, Helper 487 was to get into the coaling spur for its load of coal. A lot of fuel was needed for the 4% grades of Cumbres Pass. Since the coal tower was out of service, the tender had to be loaded using modern technology. With the helper engine in the clear, the road power brought 5 cars out of the yard to be added to the train. After the train was put together and the helper engine added, we jumped ahead to the classic 2-span trestle over the Rio Chama River, just outside of town, where the doubleheader left on time. With plenty of coal smoke, the Cumbres and Toltec didn't disappoint. Approaching Lobato Trestle, the 12-car train looked impressive working up grade. The lush green mountains and the S-curves leading up to Cresco made for great railroading on this day. A bit of the old pre-1970 highway to Cumbres can be seen in the middle distance. The section house at Cumbres Summit has been nicely restored. We're at an elevation of just over 10,000 feet. The heavy winter snow buildup was reduced to a few big piles. The road engine will take on water here. Since this is the top of the mountain, the helper won't be needed and will return light back to Chama. We will end our program here. If you can't get enough of the Cumbres and Toltec, we kept the cameras rolling and put together another exciting show featuring the helper turning on the Y and the westbound train later in the day, filmed from Los Pinos to Chama. Even more steam, smoke, and great viewing locations await you in Cumbres and Toltec Sampler Part 2.